previously on Divorced at Second Sight.
Production has devised a game for the remaining cast to occupy their time with. Everyone's forced to play a version of whodunit. To sum up what happened, Michael had an afro, Claire had a bowl cut back in the day, and Austin French kissed a donkey. He didn't say that exactly. He wrote, he open mouth kissed a donkey. Goodness, this guy will do anything with anything, but not with Becca, apparently.
It's a train wreck. It's a train wreck. But maybe they can turn it around.
I'm sorry, Becca. Mars is in retrograde, so intimacy is off the table.
I've got a surprise for you, Austin.
Becca, I already told you I can't engage under these celestial circumstances.
Oh yeah? Big boy.
Hubba, hubba, I can open mouth kiss you.
All the red flags, all the red flags. It's always nothing, it's always nothing. When am I getting paid? It's always nothing.
Hello, welcome back to the YouTube channel. My name is Angie, this is my husband Tim, and today we are recapping from the final resting place of this season.
Seems appropriate.
Belongs in the dumpster. So, announcements. As you can tell, we did not recap the last 2 episodes. Since we did not do that, I'm going to brief you of what happened, just a quick rundown. Episodes 18 and 19 covered the days leading up to Decision Day. What we found out was just more confirmation of why this season sucks so bad. What I took from it was that the cast is being more intentional in how they want to be portrayed. Optics was a buzzword that was thrown around a lot. They broke the fourth wall more times than they ever did in any other season, at least from what I can remember. I know in reality TV there's a certain level of self-curation, i.e. fakeness,
Lies.
that each person tries to execute. They want to be presented positively. I mean, who doesn't? But it's very ubiquitous this season. We have Orion saying to Lauren that he wants to team up to get their narrative straight. We have Brennan telling Emily to delete diary cam footage. We have Austin, who apparently only is affectionate with Becca when he's on camera. We have Becca being accused of unplugging production equipment in the shared apartment, i.e. she's unplugging the in-home cameras. And finally, we have Claire, who is bossing Cameron around of what he can and cannot say while they're filming. In the past, whenever couples had issues, we would see them work through them. I remember scenes, like when Vinny from season 12 spilled champagne on himself, or another scene when his wife Brianna would sign him up for salsa classes instead of bachata, which is a dance style that he flourished in. In those moments, he would get very flustered or visibly irritated because he wanted to look good for his woman. But as he goes through the process, you see those insecurities of his take more of a back seat. Another example is Woody from season 11. I remember this one instant when he would become unsettled when Amani, his wife, said she could change something about her appearance and he would have no input on that. But then you see him open up to her during the expert visits. He would reveal things such as a past ex-girlfriend having gotten an abortion without his knowledge. And that traumatized him to some extent because he didn't even realize she was pregnant with his child. He was trying to voice that in his past relationships, his partners would leave him in the dark about things he thought should involve him. After that, Amani was very empathetic and patient to his reactions, and they worked through those tough emotions. So, fast forward to current day, Woody and Vinny are probably one of the two most liked men of the series. This is because they both matured and evolved into a husband over the 8 weeks, which at least for me is what I watch the show for. It's very satisfying to observe well-intentioned people go from being strangers to people that genuinely love each other. These actions are severely lacking in the Denver season because everyone is so obsessed with the optics, as Becca would like to point out.
Yeah, they feel less like real people and more like internet influencers. I just expect them to put out a YouTube apology video. Either that or maybe they're afraid of getting canceled. It just seems they exist in a different...
Reality?
Yeah, different reality. Maybe in the past it was okay to be yourself, but now you've got to not be yourself. You've got to be perfect and shiny and... I don't know. It just comes across as just the worst.
Yeah, because, like you said, these people that are trying to be a pseudo-influencer don't want to show the ugly parts of their marriage, even though that's what they signed up for. Instead, we have to see the obnoxious parts of whatever it is they have. A contract ship.
Mm-hmm. Which ironically makes them look worse.
Let's get into the episode.
Woo.
Married at First Sight, Season 17, Episode 20. Decision Day, Round 1. Just as a reminder, I'm not going to recap Decision Day, Round 2 because I want to focus on Seeking Sister Wife.
Yeah, this show looks like it's the Titanic and then it just saw an iceberg. We know what's happening. We know what's going to happen, so we're bailing.
We might come back for a future season of Married at First Sight, but it's hard for me to recap more than one show a week. I just don't have enough time. The episode starts off as if we're watching an action movie. Drone footage of the cityscape of Denver is shown, whilst dramatic music is pumping up the viewers for what's to come. The 6 individuals who are announcing their decisions are prepping for the cameras. As per tradition before Decision Day, the couple spend the night separately in order to have a better resolve of what they really want for themselves. That hasn't really been an issue for this season because by the time the 7th week mark came along, everyone was already living away from their spouses.
And they had already developed the resolve to figure out what they wanted to say on week 1.5?
Hyperbole, but it's still accurate. The first to voice their outlook on this experience is Becca. She says that after all that has transpired, she feels so much guilt, disappointment, confusion, and sadness. She has done her best to fight for this marriage and has been gradually losing heart. This is because Austin just isn't as into her as she is into him. And she was very into him.
But why, though?
I guess it's because he did show some indication that he was into her.
That didn't last long.
Or at least he then started to pretend that he was into her, and of course, she fell for it. Change of scenery, and we are at the Mountain Spruce Ranch. Pastor Cal, Dr. Pepper, and Dr. Pia are gathering around a fireplace, eager to await the decisions of these train wreck couples they have matched together.
I don't think they're eager. I think they're dreading it.
In the past seasons, the experts haven't really done this before, where they discuss the future of each of these couples. They would just meet with them for Decision Day.
I've got a thought on why exactly they're doing this now and never before.
Well, my theory is because they need to fill up the episode. They only have 3 couples that are announcing their decision today.
I'll tell you my theory at the end of the episode.
Okay. They have a small discussion before the event plays out. They all agree there have been many firsts that has never happened before within this season. They pick apart the 3 marriages, debating the future of each one. For some reason, they think that the fact that Austin and Becca play Mario Kart is the thread that will hold them together. They obviously didn't say that. They just said that they had a lot more in common than not. I'm just saying it doesn't matter if people like the same video games, music, TV shows, hobbies, whatever. If their belief systems are not aligned, then they are not compatible.
Hard agree.
We now turn our attention to the couple themselves. They are arriving to tell the experts their decision. They chat about their journey and the obstacles along the way. Becca expounds on the revelation from last episode. Austin requests that Becca not bring up issues that would portray him in an unfavorable light when it's time for self-confessionals or expert visits. This is something she has struggled with because she was forced to develop a type of facade when she is on and off camera. Austin defends himself that concerns over one's image is very natural. Becca counters his statement, saying that him worrying about what other people think makes her question if she is interacting with his authentic self. So, again, past participants of the show had to go through the same fire of fans criticizing every single little thing they do.
They got out of it just fine. These people can get out of it just fine. We hear a lot about how the dating scene right now is an absolute quagmire. And it feels like these people have brought the quagmire to the show.
I guess no matter who you're paired with, it's gonna be a dud. I will say Michael and Chloe are thriving right now, but again, we'll have to see where that goes. Pastor Cal, who is desperate for one successful couple, bids Becca to not let the marriage go. He says, "When the optics are done, i.e. when there are no cameras, that's when you can find those moments of authenticity."
Pastor Cal seems like he's 5 seconds from getting on his knees and just begging them, "Please, oh God, please stay together or they're going to fire me."
Because this is so annoying because with the next Decision Day couple, Brennan and Emily, he is advocating for them to not stay together because clearly those two have irreconcilable differences. And that is clearly true for Becca and Austin as well.
Everybody knows that people so very easily reconcile their religious differences.
Oh, boy. Becca looks extremely stressed out. She doesn't seem to heed his suggestion. The pink-haired woman expresses that she needs to take this time to reground herself because her decision-making skills are impaired with everything that's going around. She says everything feels shocked at this point. Dr. Pia then questions her if they were faking it whenever she visited them. Becca acquiesces to her assumption, saying Austin is a lot more affectionate, gentle, and fawning when he knows he's being filmed. She gives him slack in this instance, saying he isn't trying to be cruel. It's not like he has an alternate ego where a switch just turns off as soon as production leaves. He's just not aware that his actions aren't as consistent as he believes. She attributes that duplicity to dealing with his own emotions. Austin opposes this very non-judgmental claim. He just says that he does his homework. He does the assignments that are given to him, and it's Becca's fault for not thinking he's genuine. Dr. Pia brings up a very valid point. In this moment, Austin has his arm around Becca's shoulder and is rubbing her on the back. The psychotherapist asks Becca if she believes if even that small gesture is fake. Becca wants to believe it is real. She holds a lot of fond memories during the times she believed Austin was genuine. This is encouraging to Dr. Pia and Dr. Pepper.
It shouldn't be.
Yeah, it feels like they're content that this woman has fallen in love with a delusion. They basically tell Becca to silence that small voice of anxiety and to lean into the process outside of those 8 weeks. I thought that was very unprofessional, Dr. Pia, to say, just tell that anxiety to shut up.
I mean, seriously, these experts, there's the saying that it's difficult to convince somebody of something that their paycheck is dependent on not believing. They're trying to believe that this couple can work because it needs to work in order for them to get paid.
Technically, I think for like the last 5 seasons, it's pretty much been either 4 out of 5 couples don't work out or 5 of the 5 couples don't work out. I just don't understand why this would be a mark against them. This is something that they should be used to.
It might be like a 3 strikes kind of thing. 3 seasons in a row.
It's been more than that.
Well, then maybe the upper producer people are finally fed up with them.
Then again, Chris and Nicole from last season worked out. Pastor Cal agrees, saying that they both need to give it time. AKA, just say yes so that we don't look incompetent. The experts go on to say ridiculous sentiments such as, what's the worst that can happen if you try to give this your all or you try to hope for the best? I'm paraphrasing here. And I'm thinking to myself, a lot. You can get your hopes up only for it to be dashed. And then you're going to become a shell of your former self. There's kind of a lot to lose if Becca tries to keep pining for Austin.
Yeah, but that's none of the things they have to deal with.
Goodness. They only care about whether these people stay together until the show's over. But the show's over in 3 to 4 more episodes tops.
They're desperate to try to get one of them home.
Becca keels under the pressure. She says yes. Someone on Reddit posted a screenshot from MAFS fan, which is some sort of insider that I don't know how they're able to get these kinds of details each season, but they've been accurate every season so far. They posted a screenshot of, I think, a text. I think it was someone's sister that was dating Austin, said a lot of revealing things about what happened during Decision Day. They basically said that Austin and Becca were bribed a lot of money to say yes. In fact, they forced them to refilm their takes because they originally said no. That's insane. I don't understand why that happened because in the later half of the episode, during the powwow when they get together, Becca just spills the beans of what she really thinks about Austin. So that was a waste. I don't understand why the producers are concerned about the optics now.
I think the producers are concerned about the optics because that's the only thing that the producers are concerned about. The producers aren't on camera. The experts are on camera, but not the producers.
It's very obvious in hindsight that they said no, but Becca was forced to reshoot. I just don't understand the point of her saying yes was.
She was paid to. It's pretty clear.
Well, they lost money on that.
Well, they're trying to increase the credibility of the show, and they're doing that by doing something which threatens to completely annihilate the credibility of the show. My theory from earlier as to why they did the little fireside chat with the experts is that that was filmed after the fact to make it look less impossible that these two, Austin and Becca, would stay together. That's why they called them the golden couple, even though nobody has ever thought of them as being a golden couple. They called them the golden couple so that it would be less jarring when these two people who obviously don't get along or like each other would say yes.
But that would be jarring for the experts. And the experts can take the heat. The producers don't have to. They're not on camera.
No, the producers, they don't care.
Because that's still entertaining. They can say, oh, this is our true love couple. And it'll be funny when they come in and say, no, Austin and I are just not each other's persons.
Yeah, I know, but that's why I think that they filmed the powwow after the fact. After they knew that they'd take the money.
That's effed up if it's true.
I believe it.
Becca gives her reasoning for her decision of saying yes. She conveys that she just needs the experiment to extend a little longer to see if the cameras are really the issue that's holding the relationship back.
But I mean, I thought she was unplugging all the cameras anyway, so...
Yeah, it was very tiring to take notes because knowing what all these people have done, you can't take their word at face value anymore. It's like a boy who cried wolf situation.
Yeah.
So we move on to the next couple, Emily and Brennan. As they doll themselves up in their own respective apartments, Emily verbalizes that Brennan might say something untoward about her. As a result, she needs to make sure she is forthright about everything. Brennan the robot just says he hopes Emily can be cordial and this meeting won't divulge into something more hostile.
I bet he does hope that she remains cordial because he's trying to maintain his appearance.
Mm-hmm.
His weird never says more than 2 words a sentence appearance.
I hate Brennan so much. It's so annoying to watch how taciturn this guy is.
But he communicates so well.
Only because he's trying to protect her. We'll get into it.
Mm-hmm.
We watch a pointless session of the experts contesting the status of Emily and Brennan's marriage. For some reason, these 3 believe that the horrendous ATV accident was a turning point in their already non-existent relationship.
Okay, just a little bit back. When you said that they're checking up the status of this relationship, that's like trying to take the pulse of a fried chicken.
It's dead and it's already ready to eat. I'm sorry, but you 3 were a little bit too optimistic.
Okay, all right. Where were we?
I don't know why these 3 still had hope, especially after that horrendous steak dinner, where Emily revealed that Brennan hinted to her he just didn't want to be with her, but he knew that she wanted to continue the process.
What's the process for, though?
I guess to get their paycheck.
The process is a means to an end, but if you're not interested in the end, why would you want to participate in the means?
Because if they don't participate in the means, they're going to have to go the way Orion did. They're going to have to be cut out of the show.
And they don't get paid. Every time they say the process, I just want to punch them in the face.
Another person who is interested in the process is Pastor Cal. He states that Brennan might have been looking for a more compliant woman. He didn't say that, but that's where I went. He just says that Brennan had a specific type of woman in mind, and Emily wasn't that mold.
When she wasn't heavily medicated.
Brennan was nice to her when she was drugged up on pain meds.
Mm-hmm. Brennan likes his women strong, independent, and barely able to talk or walk.
I hate this.
But he's so compassionate.
Dr. Pepper points out that unlike a lot of couples on the show, they didn't give each other the chance to go deeper. She goes, "They never went. Let's put it all out there. Look at the ugly stuff and see what we can do with it."
I'm just thinking, it's like somebody's cleaning out their septic tank and they get to the sewage and are thinking, we need to go deeper. Maybe there's something valuable in there. It's like, no, once you hit the sewage, there's nothing better down there. They went deep enough.
That is the most accurate description of Emily and Brennan's whatever it is they had. Pastor Cal then sets a different goal for this meeting. Instead of getting these 2 to say yes, he is aiming for civility. This is how low the bar is.
I'm just thinking about the therapy. I can't remember what show it was from, but they just wanted to get these 2 people on the level where if there was a button that would destroy the other one, they both would not press the button. And that was the breakthrough.
Is that an anime?
I think that was King of the Hill. The idea that neither one of you would destroy the other one, that's a huge breakthrough.
I don't think they accomplished that this meeting. Emily and Brennan are headed towards the ranch. We watch their initial interactions, the wedding, honeymoon, and various dates. It actually was sweeter than how I remembered. I forgot how good Brennan was at acting happy or excited about something. We are subjected to that awkward scene where Emily and him are sitting in their apartment, and she asks him, "I just need you to tell me if you're physically attracted to me." And he replies with, "I just can't." No follow-up or anything.
Is there a worse way to answer that question? I kind of feel saying no is still better than I can't.
Because what I have to say is so devastatingly honest and hurtful.
That I am not capable of saying it.
They are now seated on the couch with the 3 experts. Dr. Pepper opens up the discourse, saying she knows this marriage is in the dumpster. However, she is more than happy for them to end on a good note. That being growth, accountability, and the prospect of finding someone more compatible. Brennan's beginning remarks are backhanded, to say the least. He maintains that he was able to grow as a person because now he has developed resilience. In the past, he would run from the slightest red flags or inconveniences. Now he is able to stick them out for the sake of his paycheck.
Yes. I value the time we've been together because the time we've been together was so painful that it caused me to grow into a better, stronger person.
A better, richer person. As he verbalizes his bull, all three of the experts are squinting at him.
If they could, they would Superman laser eye him.
He's so obnoxious. Dr. Pia did not like him at all season. Emily stops him right there, telling him that each word that came out of his mouth was a lie. She exclaims that everything Brennan has professed to overcome, whether that be dodging culpability or giving up too soon, is what he has been doing for the entirety of the experiment. She goes, "You're just telling yourself what you want to hear, but you ran in the hardest way you've ever run before." This, of course, upsets the robot. He brings up the fact that he was such a good caretaker when Emily got into her accident. She counters his statement, saying that his importance in that incident went to his head, where he claimed that the reason she was still alive was because of him.
No, it was probably the professionally trained medical
team that was called. They weren't the only ones that were on the ATV excursions. There was an instructor. That guy would have saved Emily if it weren't for you, Brennan. If you decided to be a...
It's not like he stitched her back together or he fought off a bear or he carried her down a mountain. He just was there. And this guy feels like just being there is something he needs to be rewarded for.
Oh, we'll get to him checking off the boxes soon. Brennan denies this, affirming that at least he was a supportive partner. She claps back at him, saying that he was checking the boxes in an attempt to be seen as benevolent in front of the cameras. Finally, an expert intervenes and weighs in on the discourse. Dr. Pia points out that Brennan is being highly defensive. Brennan says that his response was because Emily was attacking him. The pink-wearing doctor then goes, "No, I don't see an attack."
I think this guy thinks anything's an attack if it's accurate.
Yeah, someone could point out to Brennan that he has 2 eyes and 2 ears, and Brennan would still say that they're an...
Yeah, I think so.
Dr. Pia asked Brennan to verbalize his emotions of why he feels that way, of being attacked. He declares that those are all false accusations. He really did do everything he could.
Okay, I thought you were about to say his programming prevents him from making outright false statements according to the guidelines proposed by ChatGPT.
If this guy really was a robot, they should just send him back to the factory because he is not convincing. Dr. Pia puts him on the spot, saying that that statement is a lie as well. She reminds him of the exercise she gave to them to strengthen their bond. So, Dr. Pia gave them a touching exercise. Brennan changed that to hugging since he didn't want to touch Emily. When Emily got upset about that, she told Dr. Pia, which upset Brennan. He then shifted his anger to Emily because he said that she agreed to his alterations and is now making him look bad. My issue with this is Brennan has put Emily in a no-win situation because when you're given an exercise to touch, Emily can't just force him to say, "No, you need to touch me here, you need to touch me here." He's the one who is now setting the boundary because he's not the one comfortable. Mm-hmm. So she's like, "Okay, what is more comfortable for you?" And he goes, "Hugging." And she's, "Well, I'm not really happy about that, but sure, let's hug." And she's like, "That doesn't help our marriage." So she tells Dr. Pia, and then Brennan, "This is all your fault because you agreed to this alteration."
You caved to my demands. That is not what they were instructed to do, obviously. And I don't feel like she had the connection with him to the point where she had to honor him because obviously he's trying to get out of this without ever actually having to do anything or build a connection or anything like that. So, yeah, no, he's a piece of...
Because in the beginning, Emily got a lot of flack because she's never been in a relationship and was labeled as a party girl, but I think she was trying very hard in this process, despite her background. Brennan continues to deflect. Emily expresses that he doesn't take accountability. She's done her best to do that very thing to make the marriage work, even going so far as to ignore warning signs in order to get the best version of him. The stoic man ignores all of this, asserting that this is Emily's fault, since she is the one who gives him permission to come up with solutions, but is still unhappy because these solutions aren't strengthening their marriage. Which, again, Brennan does this a lot. He changes exercises, he calls for a reset because he doesn't want the pressure of doing anything. And then when Emily's, okay, I have no choice but to go along with what he wants, she goes back and says either in her confessionals or to the experts, like, I'm not happy. He points the finger at her.
It kind of makes me think of the scene from Empire Strikes Back when Darth Vader betrays Lando Calrissian and Lando says, that's not the deal. And then Vader says, I have altered the deal. Pray that I don't alter it further.
This is why you shouldn't make deals with people who have all the power, because what usually happens is you're the one who's going to make all the concessions whilst they don't fulfill their end of the bargain. Emily reveals that Brennan is very controlling of her. He makes her delete diary cam footage that makes him look bad. She is unable to stand up to him when these disputes happen because she was desperately still trying to see a future with him. She voices, I was trying to fix what was already broken. I also didn't want to face the repercussions of what happens when I say anything negative about you. Brennan throws Emily's so-called negativity in her face. He cites the one time she made a comment that the vows at Michael and Chloe's wedding was vanilla as proof of that. I know that Emily can be snarky during that one after-party episode with Keisha, but that hasn't transpired yet, so there is no real reason for Brennan to describe her that way.
He's just trying to throw shade. He's just trying to invalidate her with anything he can think of. It's the equivalent of being mad at someone, so you just throw whatever it is that's closest to you at them from across the room.
It's poorly thought out and it's just petty.
I mean, Brennan, poorly thought out and petty.
They continue protesting the other's accusations. Emily says if she really was a Debbie Downer and he indicated that to her, she would have readily fixed her attitude in that same moment. I agree with that statement. Emily describes herself as a person who's the life of the party and an extrovert. Those types of people usually want those around them to have a good time.
They're people pleasers.
So when Brennan says, your negativity just turned me off, is again, he's reaching.
It really feels like he's just blaming her for everything that he's feeling, and he's just projecting.
Speaking of, she points out his hypocrisy, where he told her that he broke up with past exes because he hated their expectations without communicating it to him, even though he expects Emily to read his mind, then labels her as a red flag.
I wouldn't be surprised if they left him because of this that he's doing. Right?
Yeah, where he's placing all the impetus on them.
And never him. He's just a passive
piece of
Yes.
Brennan then repeats the line he's been voicing all season, that he was trying to protect her feelings from his own opinion of her.
Oh, God. That's what I mean when I say I can't even.
His exact words were, the harsh words that could have had an impact on her in a way that was detrimental, because I care a lot about her, and I wanted to be very mindful of how the words I was using could affect her, and I wanted to be constructive in a way that she could still grow from it. But to her point, my efforts weren't enough. He says this in the most monotone voice, by the way. Emily becomes annoyed, saying that he keeps bringing up the idea of effort as if there was any.
Oh my gosh, no. I think this is hilarious because he's lampshading his behavior here. He is saying, I have all these super nasty opinions about you, but I'm not telling you as a gift to you. So he both is attempting to come off as benevolent for not saying the thing that was super mean.
And he doesn't have to do anything to communicate to her.
And she knows how much she hates him. It's a shitty play.
Brennan insists that all of his effort and intentions were there, and only wanted to protect her, or at least protect his own image. He complains that he was being a gentleman, saving her the pain of his honesty. But if he had known what the outcome of this process would have been, he would have thrown her under the bus without a second thought, regardless if it was for her own protection. The three experts are staring at him in utter bewilderment.
Wait, did he actually say that? What did he say?
He said that he would have
been honest?
If without trying to protect her.
He probably should have been from the beginning. That's the same thing we've been complaining about since episode 1 of you watching this, is they're all fake. If he'd only sat her down and said, I don't find you attractive, I don't think this is going to work, it would have saved us all, how many episodes?
20.
20 episodes of suffering.
Because the thing was, I think someone, his name was Mitch from season 16, I believe, did that, where he said to his partner that she wasn't really his type, and he got the villain edit so bad, even though he wasn't a bad guy. They just really wanted to go after him for not liking, forgot who his partner was.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
After filming note, I was reading a post about one of the after party episodes. Now, I haven't watched every after party episode, so I'm just going to address this since it does reframe my perspective on Brennan post-filming this recap. Apparently there was an incident where Emily was drunk, and in her state she ripped the shower curtain whilst he was taking a shower. In addition, he implied that she was a sloppy drunk when they went to bed one time. I get that Brennan wouldn't want to be paired with someone like that, but again, this is the same issue I have with every cast member this season. If you don't want to be with the person you were matched with, you need to say that on camera and make it known. He indulged Emily because she wanted to continue the process, despite knowing that he wasn't into her.
Yeah, they all just seem so fake. I'm tired of thinking, oh man, this person's really bad, and they're the one that's being an asshole, only to find out that they're really just quietly suffering to try to please this other person.
Again, both need to take their share of the blame pie because, Emily, you knew Brennan just was not attracted to you, but the editors gave you a good edit where
they throw Brennan under the bus.
Granted, Brennan is still...
Brennan is no angel. He has got his own going on, this guy.
Granted, it does make it harder to blame Brennan for everything. Just gonna put that out there, because I don't want to have to set up the tripod again to reshoot some of our thoughts.
This show is like a lose-lose.
Yeah.
Why would anyone go on this show?
Again, influencer energy. Pastor Cal steps in. He relays some of his advice he has given as a marriage counselor, saying that marriages don't work or not work. It is the individual who does that. One must find within themselves to be vulnerable. They must be open to resist their own predilections and let the other change them. He emphasizes personal accountability to Brennan. Brennan denies that that is what he has to work on, instead going back to his need for himself, to respect Emily and protect her by using constructive words. The pastor closes his eyes, takes a breather, then shakes his head. We then get the line of the season. I see, and I'm being as respectful as possible, I see BS. Brennan is caught off guard by the blatant slam. This is the only time he has made a facial expression where he wasn't faking joy at his own wedding or riding that horse. That was a date they did. Emily smiles very subtly, happy that this man is getting called out. Dr. Pia is nodding fervently, thanking Pastor Cal for his frankness. The pastor explains his reasoning for the observation. From his first visit, he picked up on the fact that Brennan was always suppressing his thoughts. Emily adds to that, mentioning that Brennan's attitude toward her shifted drastically after the honeymoon. Dr. Pia gets in on this, saying she hasn't heard Brennan be remorseful for the amount of emotional harm he has caused Emily, despite his repeated stance to protect her feelings. The robot gives a half-hearted apology. Emily asks if he knows what he is apologizing for. No surprise, he doesn't give an answer because his MO is saying things without meaning it. Dr. Pepper encourages Emily to voice how she felt disrespected. The young woman gives a list. She felt disrespected when she was friend-zoned after the honeymoon, when her husband spoke harshly to her off camera. He would say that this experience was so terrible for him that this has caused him to never want to date again. If that's the case, thank you, Emily. You have done the world a service by isolating this man from the entire dating market.
This show has a lot of immaturity in it.
Emily continues, trying to control the narrative by making me delete self-confessionals, pretending it was for us when you were only thinking of yourself. Brennan gives some more fake apologies to insult her. He has the gall to make another threat, saying he shouldn't have bottled up how he felt about her. Emily, who is tired of his then tries to coax it out of him. She states that he had enough dirt on her to ruin her life after their season ends. She takes a stand, saying that she is strong and that nothing he can say can hurt her.
So he's threatening to blackmail her?
Yes. What's the point of blackmailing someone you don't care about?
It's coming from a place of tip-top insecurity.
Because if you want something from them, but you don't want anything from Emily...
He wants power. He wants control. He wants security in that she's not going to badmouth him, because he's going to badmouth her. He's threatening her with badmouthing.
This is... Oh my goodness. Here's a warning to all the girls who were hoping to date Brennan after the show is over. If a guy looks like an and you're hoping that you can just get to his soft interior, nah, he's just an Brennan backpedals on his statement that he only made those threats because she wanted to go to war with him. She denies ever making that comment. This back and forth continues until the experts intervene again to end this discussion. They make their decision. Obviously, they're both a no. Brennan makes sure to give his monologue that he was voicing in the beginning, that they just both don't click. We then watch a fake reunion of Austin and Becca coming together after meeting with the experts. Becca just voices that she needs to refocus the lens on herself since it's been blurred by this process. Austin just goes, yeah, that's smart. It's so clear they both said no. Austin walks away holding Becca's shoulder. The rest of my notes are very light. They're not in the usual script. They're in bullet form now since I overdid the amount of notes from Brennan and Emily, and I was tired of putting everything in complete sentences. So forgive me if I sound choppy. I'm going to do what other recappers do and try to ad-lib my thoughts. I don't think I was meant to recap more than one show within a week.
Especially one so boring.
We now get to the part where the experts are doing a play-by-play of what they believe the future of Cameron and Claire is going to be like. They go over the fact that Cameron had heart surgery, and that's why for the past 6 or 7 episodes, he hasn't really been a main character.
Oh my god, what happened?
He developed some sort of heart condition.
But he purports that his separation from Claire exacerbated it, so he had to undergo this medical procedure.
And he had to right now in the middle of the show?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Claire and Cameron walk into the room, and Pastor Cal starts the conversation by asking Cameron, how is his health going? Cameron just says that he's been on a bunch of different medications, beta blockers, blood thinners, and I think he mistakenly admitted that he upped the dose on purpose, i.e. he's taking more than he needs to, which is very dangerous. Don't do that, Cameron.
Is he doing that because he's stressed out?
Yes.
Why is he stressed out?
Because being on TV is very stressful.
I think he has some sort of heart flutter that is, of course, worsening his stress.
It sounds like his stress is worsening the condition.
It could be a positive feedback loop. Cam starts off by saying that he voiced to Claire that she had no obligation to take care of him. He said this to her because in the past, whenever he would be sick or when he would be incapacitated, he just found it easier to just do things on his own.
Interesting.
For him, he felt that the more people would fawn over him, the harder it was to recover. Claire says that that's not her experience when she's bedridden. She does like the extra attention. That definitely put a large wall in between them.
I think that's weird because generally you don't treat other people the way that you want them to treat you. You treat other people the way they ask you to treat them.
And I think that's what she did because she was pretty much not in his presence the entire time he was recovering.
Okay, that's what he wanted, so whatever.
Yeah, but obviously because they were not in contact with each other, Because my issue with this scene is that the interaction between these two is very contrived. It's very curated. They're both trying to say, I take blame for f***ing up the process, or I take accountability for words that were said and me holding on to them. At the end, Cameron says, oh, well, I just see you as a sister, and so as a result, I say no, and Claire's the same way. She says there was a lot of comments or things that I perceived were insensitive and that held me back from liking you in a more full or genuine way. That's well and nice, but after this interaction with the experts and they say no, and it appears amicable, we're going to see a lot of things that went on behind the scenes. So this interaction, I'm sorry, is bullshit. Because you guys are just trying to come off as the one couple that gracefully exited the scene when you were the furthest thing from that. I took a lot of notes on Cameron and Claire's interaction with the experts, but I just feel at this point it's moot because they aren't graceful, they aren't amicable. These two are colluding with one another.
Ooh.
Let's get to that scene.
Kind of like the way I said, where you just tell each other, we aren't going to work, so let's pretend to get along and build each other up. And then we leave and go get hotties after the show.
Well, they almost made it. And then they
probably had some alcohol in them.
This is the part where they parted the curtains of what's going on this show. My bulleted notes are terrible. I can't understand them, so I made Tim watch the last 15 minutes of the episode with me so he could have a better context of what has been happening. We're at the part where Becca is saying that Claire had sent her a text that she has spotted Brennan and Austin going to a bar with a producer or getting a drink with them or something. And then a day after, all 10 of the castmates gather to eat and discuss what went down on decision day.
First, I just want to say, this show is terrible, and I feel like I've lost 5 years off my life. That was so thoroughly unpleasant that I can feel my body reeling from it. But anyway, my impressions. Everybody there is pretty gregarious. They're just getting along. They're eating. They're probably drinking copious amounts of alcohol.
Then out of nowhere, Becca starts to prod Austin for answers.
It's a trap, my dude. It's a trap. I want to preface this. None of the women come off looking good in this scene.
Except for Chloe, who didn't talk.
Yes, except for Chloe, because she didn't say anything. But all the women looked so bad in this, which is not at all what I was expecting. I was expecting that the women would just be hurt by these aggressive men who are just so closed off and unfair, right? But no. Becca has come to the conclusion that Austin decided to go on a date with a producer because he wanted to pursue a relationship with this producer and just so happened to also invite Brennan because that's what you do. And he says no, and she's, oh, that's a lie. That's a lie. I can tell that you really want to f*** this producer. And my first thought is, they talked about this producer before.
Yeah, he might have been crushing on her during the process, but just never acted on it.
I get the impression that Becca doesn't like this producer because she probably thinks the producer's prettier than her or something like that. And that was my impression of her. And so she puts him in this terrible situation where there's nothing he can say that will fix the situation. If he says yes, then he's cheating on her. If he says no, then he's lying about cheating on her. And so then he's talking about how, oh, nothing I can do makes this work. Then Claire decides to start talking, and I go, oh man, I thought that Becca was unhinged. I hadn't heard Claire yet. Claire is ultra unhinged, because then Claire starts going on about how the men are trying to silence all the women, and how these men are just silencing these strong, independent women from just saying what they feel inside. And Cameron is just, okay, back it up for a second. What? You have the gall to suggest that I'm silencing you. And then we find out that Claire is just a pot stirrer. She's interested in making everybody's lives worse. She loves to
insert herself. But the thing that happens is, so there are two instances of where she sent text where she's framing a situation to be worse than it is. One, when she was telling Emily that Cameron and Brennan were going to go on double dates. And then Cameron has to correct her, saying he was the one that instigated it and proposed him that maybe after the season is over, because their marriages aren't looking too great, maybe they can hang out and do a double date in the future, which is wildly different from what she was suggesting, that he was already cheating. And then Claire says to Becca, I saw Austin out on a date with the producer, even though it's strange because Brennan was tagging along. That's not really a date. It seems like they just went to go hang out. And I want to say something besides Claire. It's weird for Becca to be angry about that because supposedly she said no, and then they were forced to refilm her saying yes. She has nothing to be mad about at Austin because they're divorced.
Yeah, doesn't make any sense. And then she starts going on about having to trust her intuition, and that's a red flag for me, is when people start talking about their intuition, because your intuition is your assumptions, and then when you find something that's supporting your intuition, it's usually just confirmation bias. You already believed something for no reason because you felt it, and then you find evidence supporting your assumption, and you're just going to go with what you already thought was going on. And you get this sense that all the men are sitting here thinking, we really never had a chance. Nothing we say is going to work. No matter what we say, they're going to be mad at us. The thing that I thought was weird is that it feels like Emily and Lauren, for some reason, Becca and Claire, want to punish Cameron and Austin for the things that Brennan did or something. Like, oh, we're all on the same page.
You men always trying to protect us. We don't need to protect ourselves. You can tell that the girls were drunk. Probably not Becca because she doesn't drink. Cameron, he gets very frustrated, probably because of his heart condition. He leaves the group.
After disclosing that Claire is a controlling
Yes, where she tells him that he can't say or not say certain things while at the same time spouting that
the women are all being silenced.
Yes. And it's funny because you can tell that she was texting him in the same instance so that he wouldn't reveal her secrets.
Busily texting. I felt some sort of catharsis when I saw Cameron just being, I'm going to say all these bad things. She's blowing up my phone right now. And guess what? F*** her.
And after that, we get drunk Emily, for some reason, trying to end things well with Brennan.
I think that she was doing that for herself because she was mourning the hope of what she thought Brennan was going to be. And she was drunk, so obviously... Yeah.
The little get-together was so weird after all what transpired during decision day.
You had Lauren being like, I hope that we can still be on good terms to Orion for some reason.
Yeah, like, why do you like this man? You just said that you don't think that you can have any genuine friendship with him because he hasn't really been in contact with you except for the time when you're on camera. Why are you saying you just need to cut the cake, but you can have my friendship? And even in the preview, are you serious? The woman just shifted
in power balance?
Yes, like, what is going on?
I felt bad for Austin, because Austin's just sitting there very emotionally controlled as she's just screaming, and he realizes that there's nothing he can do or say that's going to fix this situation.
Because he's saying, I've never said anything defamatory towards you.
And she keeps
Talking about the optics, when apparently she unplugs cameras because she cares about her optics. I don't know. Everyone is just coming off really terrible. So I'm glad that we are done recapping this show. I know it's still ongoing because of Michael and Chloe, but...
Michael and Chloe don't look so great. Chloe seems a little clingy.
Yeah, because she was asking him in the preview, if decision day were tomorrow, what would be your answer? And he's, well, a month is too little data to decide, something along those lines. And she's, oh, happy month anniversary. It's passive aggressive. I don't know. Things in the preview tends to be taken out of context. I remember when we were dating, we were still dating for over a month before we decided to make it official.
Extremely
Perfectly normal to not want to declare someone as your permanent spouse.
Yeah, after a month, most people would say you're not allowed to get married in less than a month. Even hell, the polygamists, they wait 3 months.
That is the end of the episode. Austin and Becca lie to the camera for money, and that ends up making them look stupid when they hash it out again.
Brennan and Emily, it's so obvious that they're not going to work out. The Pastor Cal is just, please, break up. You guys suck together.
And Cameron is silenced by his pot stirrer ex.
And he says, no more, this. Good for you, Cameron.
That's it.
I like Cameron, and I like Michael.
So, that's the end of the episode. Sorry that the last part of it was a little less scripted and sounds...
It's fine. It's
okay,
fine.
So we will see you on... Yes?
He wants me to take him out.
Okay.
So we will see you on Thursday for Seeking Sister Wife.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.